While you were sleeping, California proposed a 5% wealth tax on billionaires. Within days, Peter Thiel and Larry Page were already making plans to leave the state. But here's what most people don't realize. These billionaires aren't scrambling. They're not panicking. They already have options in place. Second citizenships, international bank accounts, residencies in other countries. The infrastructure to leave was built years ago. The question is this: do you have options, or are you locked in place? If you're feeling stuck, this video will show you your path forward. I'm Brad with Evolution Expats, and this isn't just a billionaire's drama. This is a preview of the playbook the ultra wealthy have been using for decades, a playbook that until recently, most people didn't even know existed. Today, I'm going to break down exactly what's happening in California, show you how the wealthy actually protect themselves, and most importantly, explain why this strategy isn't just reserved for billionaires anymore. It's accessible to people at every income level. You just need to know where to look. If you're not subscribed to this channel, now is the time. Immigration and citizenship laws are changing faster than ever, and I'm here to make sure you don't get caught off guard. Hit subscribe and leave a like so the content I make for you actually gets sent to you. Now let's start with what's actually happening in California. In October of 2025, the 2026 Billionaire Tax Act was filed. The proposal is simple but dramatic: a one-time 5% tax on the net worth of Californian residents worth more than $1 billion. That means if you're a billionaire living in California on January 1st of 2026, you owe 5% of everything you own: stocks, private company shares, art, intellectual property, everything. Now here's the trap. The tax is designed to be retroactive. The residency determination date is January 1st of 2026, but the ballot measure can't even be voted on until November of 2026. That means you could be taxed based on where you lived before you even knew if the law would pass. By the time it passes, it will have been too late to leave. They'll be already caught. So the reaction from Silicon Valley was immediate. Peter Thiel is exploring spending more time outside of California. Larry Page has reportedly discussed leaving by year's end. Paul Malucki posted that if this passes, he's screwed for life because he'd owe billions on paper wealth he can't actually access. But here's what's fascinating. The billionaires threatening to leave aren't starting from scratch. Many of them already have the infrastructure in place to relocate tomorrow if they need to, which brings us to the Billionaire Playbook. Peter Thiel is the perfect case study. Most people don't know this, but Thiel has been a citizen of New Zealand since 2011. That's right, more than 14 years ago, while he was building his empire in Silicon Valley, he was quietly securing a second passport on the other side of the world. He spent 12 days in New Zealand to get it, 12 days total. The citizenship ceremony wasn't even held in New Zealand. It was conducted privately at the consulate in Santa Monica. So why did he do that? He wasn't planning to move there in 2011. He was buying insurance. He was buying optionality. When he went on the Joe Rogan podcast last year and talked about California's confiscatory taxation, he didn't have to wonder if he could go. He already had his ticket in his pocket. Now, you might be thinking, this tax will never work. And you'd be right. We have decades of evidence. France is the cautionary tale. They implemented a wealth tax and it backfired spectacularly. Between 2000 and 2012, an estimated 42,000 millionaires left the country. France lost the investors, they lost the spenders, and eventually they lost the tax revenue too because the people with the money had left. Norway just did the same thing in 2022. They increased their wealth tax by just 1%. The result? More wealthy taxpayers left in a single year than had left in the previous 13 years combined. The lesson from history is simple. Wealth taxes don't just tax wealth. They redistribute it geographically. The money doesn't disappear, it moves to jurisdictions that welcome it. But here's the problem for you. The billionaires have private jets and lawyers. We don't have those. They have plan Bs ready to go. When the rules change, they move. So what happens to those of us that aren't billionaires? What happens if you are just a regular person who is worried about rising taxes, political instability, or the direction of your country? You aren't alone. Applications for second citizenships and residencies from Americans and Europeans have skyrocketed 1,000% since 2020. This isn't just something for the rich anymore. This is the new normal. So, how do you build a plan B if you aren't a billionaire? You have two options. The first is based on luck, and the second is based on strategy. Option one is the lucky bloodline, also known as citizenship by descent. If your parent, grandparent, or in some cases a great-grandparent was born in countries like Ireland, Poland, or Italy, you might already have a citizenship claim and not even know it. Not something that you have to buy, you're just claiming what's legally yours. Ireland is one of the most accessible in the world. If you have one grandparent born on the island of Ireland, you can register as an Irish citizen. No residency required. That passport gives you the right to live and work anywhere in the European Union. Poland allows claims going back to great-grandparents. Italy, Greece, and many more around the world have at least some form of bloodline passport available to applicants. I'll put a full list in the description as well as the details for qualification. But what if you don't have a lucky bloodline claim? What if your ancestors have been in the US for 200 years? What if you're not American? Are you out of luck? Absolutely not. That brings us to option 2, the strategic residency. This is what most of our clients actually do. You don't need a specific ancestor. You just need to prove that you can support yourself. Countries like Mexico and Panama, my personal favorites, and even Portugal, offer permanent residency to people who can prove a stable income or a modest bank balance. You don't have to invest millions. You don't even have to live there full time in many cases. Take Panama or Mexico. Once you have permanent residency, you have a legal right to live and work there. You have a safe house outside of the US system. It's a permanent toehold in a second country that could eventually lead to citizenship if you wanted to. Peter Thiel bought his citizenship. But for the rest of us, permanent residency is the most accessible way to build that exact same infrastructure of freedom. The point is this: the strategies that billionaires use, having options, having a plan B, having the ability to go somewhere else if you need or want to, that strategy is available to regular people. So here's my advice. First, audit your family tree. Talk to your parents. Look at old family records. Do you have a claim to Ireland, Italy, Poland, Germany, or any of the places that I list in the description? Second, if you don't have the ancestry, look at your finances. Can you qualify for a residency in Mexico or Panama? The requirements are often lower than you think. And third, get your documents in order. Birth certificates, marriage certificates, naturalization records. If you ever want to pursue either of these paths, you will need documentation. California's proposed billionaire tax is just the latest example of a pattern we're seeing worldwide. When governments face budget shortfalls, and they always do, they start looking for revenue. When the rules change, the people who planned ahead are the ones who have choices. Peter Thiel spent 12 days in New Zealand and secured a passport that now gives him the freedom to leave California whenever he wants. That's not luck. That's strategy, executed years in advance. The question isn't whether uncertainty will come. The question is whether you'll have options when it does. This is exactly why we exist at Evolution Expats. We help people understand their options, whether that's finding a hidden citizenship in your family tree or securing a strategic residence in a place like Mexico or Panama. If you're serious about exploring your options or stuck in your decision-making or lineage tracking, book a consultation with us. Let's look at your specific situation, your ancestry, your income, and map out a path that works for you and your family. Because having a plan, even one that you never use, is infinitely better than having no options at all. The link for that consultation is in the description. And if you want to explore some visas that are available now, check out the video popping up on your screen. It's my relocation intelligence playlist, and it's a primer for what is available to you right now worldwide and is updated with new videos every week. And of course, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Immigration citizenship laws are changing constantly, and I'm here to keep you informed with the latest info. Remember, the right information makes all the difference. I'm Brad with Evolution Expats, and I'll see you in our next video.